I just had my appendix out and I'm watching you from the hospital. Thank you. Lewis Kelly. I got my appendix out when I was 20. I think I was 20. Wait, appendixes. You have more than one, Kelly? Lewis, what are you doing, pal? That's crazy. Yeah, I had my appendix out when I was 20. It was bank holiday weekend. It was Easter weekend, actually. Easter weekend. And I worked at a pub at the time. And my boss, he was a real stickler, okay? He was like he wanted everyone working Easter weekend from Friday to Monday, Easter weekend. And he was not letting anyone have time off for Easter weekend at all. It was crazy, but whatever. Friday rolls around and I am in the most awful pain I've ever felt, right? And my boss was having none of it. So I call him and he's like, this is bloody bullshit. You bloody students, so unreliable. I have a bad back and I've been in here since 6 a.m. I can't believe that. And I'm like, man, like, seriously, like, I've never been in this much pain in my life. I cannot believe it. He's like, no, this is, but he can't say no. It's not like he can force me to come in. He just was really unhappy about it. Anyway, I'm in pain for the rest of the day. Like, the most pain I've ever been in. Literally, like, keeling over in pain. I couldn't believe how much pain I was in. And it gets to about maybe 4 p.m. I have a childhood friend who had appendicitis. I just messaged him. I said, hey, mate, weird question, but what was your appendicitis like? And he told me all the symptoms he had. And he's like, why? I'm like, I think I have appendicitis. And so he said, what are you feeling? And I told him all the feelings I had, where my pain was located, how it came about. Do you think I should be worried? He's like, oh, I don't know, to be honest with you, man. Like, it could be, it could not be. I'm like, okay. So in the UK, we have a non-emergency medical number called 111. And so if you call 111 in the UK, it's like calling for an ambulance without the emergency. So you can just ask them, like, tell them your symptoms, what's going on. And so I told them, you know, my symptoms. And the person was like, well, it's hard to say if those are the, like, appendicitis symptoms. You could just be like this, that, or the other. Would you like to see a GP, a general practitioner, a doctor? Yeah. She's like, you don't have to. You don't have to see a GP. It could be nothing. You could go tomorrow if you want to. I'm like, no, I think I should see a GP today. And so she was like, okay, well, we can't get you in anytime soon. It's going to have to be around 10 p.m. tonight. So in another, like, 4 hours. And I was like, are you serious? She's like, yep, that's the earliest I can get you to see a doctor. And so I went to see a doctor at 10 p.m. Absolutely. Like, I was in the most pain at this point. Couldn't believe my pain again. I go to the GP. And the doctor's like, he starts prodding me around my belly, feeling my, like, inflammation. And then he says to me, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? I went, I'm not a bloody doctor. I have no clue what this is at all. How am I meant to know what it is? So I told him, I said, I did the classic thing. I looked up WebMD. I looked at my symptoms. I think it might be appendicitis. And he goes, you know what? I think I would agree with you. Oh, well, that's great. Thank you. I'm so glad that after your 7 years of doctoring at uni, medical school, all that kind of stuff, that you would agree with my absolutely trash opinion that it's appendicitis. He says, where you live in Stafford, UK, we do not have an after-hours A&E. What I can do for you is you can either go home and come back tomorrow to the hospital and check yourself in, or if you want, I can get you a taxi to a hospital in the neighboring town. I went, oh, you know, I'll take the taxi. I'll take the taxi to the neighboring town. So they paid for me, instead of giving me an ambulance or anything, they paid for me to go to the next town in a taxi. And so I went there, checked into the hospital, and and they looked me over. They took my bloods and they did some tests, and they were like, yep, it's looking pretty appendicitis-y. It's probably appendicitis, but we can't do anything about it today, which is fine. Don't mind that. Next day, doctor comes and sees me and says, I don't think you need to worry about it too much, genuinely. But you know what? If it gets bad, we'll book you in for surgery. And so the next day, eventually, I do get my surgery. Everything works out in the end. It's fantastic. But yeah, genuinely hilarious. The level of incompetency almost that I experience on my road to potentially get a doctor. I checked into the hospital at 12 a.m. 12:30, I call the pub that I worked at. It's an assistant manager on. And he says, what's going on, Josh? You weren't in today. I'm like, yeah, I have appendicitis. I'm at hospital. And he went, oh, right. Oh, okay then. Oh, I see. Oh, hey, get well soon. Get well soon. I then, you know, Had my surgery the next day. The drugs they give you to have surgery are hilarious. I was like off my rocker completely. I told my mum, she came to the hospital. I told my mum that I've joined the secret society of members of humanity that have their appendicitis out. I don't really know what any of that means. If I'm going to be honest, no clue what that means, but that's what I told her. And then the next day, they discharged me. I hobbled out of the hospital and I walked straight into that pub where that manager was. I looked him in the bloody eye and I gave him a doctor's note to confirm I had my appendix out the previous day and that I would need time off work. And he looked like the biggest dick on the world. He was so apologetic that he had to go with me over the phone. He couldn't believe it and told me to get well. From that point onwards, that manager never gave me any shit whatsoever. Anytime that I was sick, I didn't feel well, he told me to get well as quickly as possible. Never questioned it. Absolutely fantastic. All it took was appendicitis to get him to trust me. What's going on? I think she's trying to DS me. After years of living in Stafford, I can tell you their healthcare is still trash. Yeah, it's not good, is it? Old Stafford, worst hospital in the world. Well, not the world, sorry. The worst hospital in the UK, I believe. No, it was just this particular hospital whose A&E closed after 10, I think. So if you died in Stafford after 10, then you had to go to the neighboring town to get healthcare. That's basically how it worked. What's an A&E? Accidents and emergencies. It's where they take on anyone who's had any issues. All right. It's possible I can still salvage this game. Seemingly unlikely and likelier at this stage, but we'll see. I think Kate might be working at Jen somewhere. What have you been doing? Is Jill here? Kate's here. All right. All right. Well, this game completely turned around. After I started to focus up and stop telling my appendicitis story, the survivors just stopped doing well. Funny that, isn't it? I became the new boss in the end. Yeah, kind of. Horror Bosses 3. Yeah, it's the sequel. So yeah, I guess the moral of my story is that if you live in Stafford, United Kingdom, don't die after 10 p.m. Just don't. If you're gonna die in Stafford, UK, don't do it after 10 p.m. because the A&E at Stafford Hospital is like the worst in the country, and that will be you done. Anyhow, that's the story of how I got appendicitis and basically show my boss that I was actually genuinely dying.